As we are now closing in on the final month of the 2025 college football season, there are some players who I think definitely need to enter the transfer portal. Today, we're going to specifically talk about the quarterback position, and I've come up with 6 guys who, in my opinion, should enter the 2026 transfer portal, find a new home, and hopefully save their careers. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you can support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about 6 quarterbacks who should enter the transfer portal. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys can actually tell, but I am somewhat losing my voice right now, but I felt it was good enough to get some videos going, so let's talk about our first guy in Elijah Brown. A few years ago, it looked like Stanford had landed their quarterback of the future, as they had landed Elijah Brown from Mater Dei. Obviously, that is one of the best high schools in the country for producing quarterback talent, as in recent memory you produced both JT Daniels and Bryce Young. Going back in time, he was named the Max Preps National Sophomore of the Year, and ended up having 8,670 yards, 107 passing touchdowns, and he went 42-2 in his career. During his senior season in particular, he completed over 70% of his passes for just under 3,000 yards and 39 total touchdowns. For some reason, he would decide to commit to Stanford, and so far in his 2 years, he has not really been able to get on the field. What's even crazier is the fact that Stanford hasn't had great quarterback play or even much success on the field. For example, during the 2024 season, Elijah would appear in 3 total games. His most action came against SMU, going 16 of 32 for 153 yards and a touchdown with 2 interceptions. In total, he finished with 274 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 picks. And going into 2025, despite a coaching change and them looking for a new quarterback, Elijah would end up the backup again. Oregon State transfer Ben Gulbranson won the job, and he has not exactly been great. He ended up getting hurt against Florida State, so Elijah Brown had to come in that game, and he went 6 of 12 for 71 yards as they won. He's appeared in their last 2 games as well, going 3 of 5 against Miami and 10 of 14 against Pitt. He threw a touchdown in that game against the Panthers, and so far he has 218 yards with 1 touchdown this year. Brown has not done much in his 2 years, and it doesn't seem like the coaching staff has a ton of faith in him. Honestly, I think he needs to enter the 2026 transfer portal, or I do think he could transfer to another Power 4 school, or at least go ball out at the group of 5. He was highly decorated coming out of high school, and it feels like he hasn't been able to do anything yet. The second guy who I think needs to enter the 2026 transfer portal is quarterback Eli Holstein. Just a few years ago, he was seen as one of the top players in all of high school football, as coming out of Zachary, Louisiana, he was pretty much a bona fide star. He ended up throwing for over 7,000 yards and 62 touchdowns in his career, and also only had 13 total interceptions. He even won a state championship and went undefeated his junior season, and despite his dad playing at LSU, Holstein would decide to commit to Alabama. He was listed as a 4-star recruit, the number 8 quarterback, and the number 86 player in the nation. Holstein would arrive in the same class as Dylan Lonergan, and didn't get a chance to play at all his first year at Alabama. After the season was over, he would elect to hit the transfer portal and went over to Pittsburgh. Last year, he ended up taking over as the starter just a couple of games into the season, and Holstein was really solid. He ended up leading Pitt to a 7-0 start, in which he had a couple of huge games, including 5 touchdowns against Youngstown State. Unfortunately, he was not great the last couple of weeks, as he was dealing with an injury, as he finished with 2,200 yards with 17 touchdowns and 7 picks, and Pitt lost their last 5. He was named the starter going into this season, but after struggling against Louisville, he was benched. He'd only thrown for 1,000 yards through his first 4 games, but didn't do much against the good competition in West Virginia and Louisville. Mason Heitchel has taken over for the remainder of the season, and he looks like a true freshman star. I have no reason to believe that Pitt won't bring him back next year, so because of this, I think Holstein should transfer once again. Some of the group of 5 schools in the state of Louisiana would make sense for him, or another Power 4 team looking for an insurance policy. I don't necessarily think he's an elite quarterback, but he deserves another chance, and he should enter the portal. Our third guy is a quarterback I've been high on for years now, and his name is Austin Mack. He ended up coming out of Folsom High School in California, and that is another school that produces a ton of big-time talent. For his first 2 seasons, he was a backup, but after starting just 1 season, he threw for 3,500 yards and 40 touchdowns and became an all-state player. Because of that and his 6'6" frame, Mack would blossom into a 4-star recruit. He would decide to commit to Kalen DeBoer in Washington and would end up actually enrolling early. But Kalen DeBoer then ended up taking the Bama job, and Mack would decide to transfer. He was listed as the number 8 quarterback and the 73rd best player in the class of 2023. And after sitting behind Penix, he was hoping to get a chance to start in 2024, but he'd be stuck behind Jalen Milroe. Last season, Mack would throw 2 of 3 passes for 39 yards and 1 touchdown, and then this year, he was going to battle it out with Ty Simpson. Unfortunately, he would end up losing that job, and so far in 2025, he's gone 8 of 11 for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. Honestly, he's pretty efficient, but he's playing in garbage time. With Ty Simpson probably going off to the 2026 draft now, Keelan Russell is most definitely going to step in and start next year, and I think Austin Mack needs to transfer. Honestly, Mack has so much untapped potential that it'd be a shame to see his talents wasted at the college level. He could definitely go to another Power 4 school, and I think he'd be a pretty decent transfer option. He does lack a lot of experience, but with the right coach, he could be really good. The fourth guy is someone I've talked about on the channel a little bit, and that is Ryan Puglisi. He is currently the backup for the Georgia Bulldogs, and going back in time, he was the number 10 quarterback in the class of 2024 as he came out of Avon Old Farms High School, which is located in the state of Connecticut. That state doesn't produce a ton of quarterback talent, but Puglisi was next up. As both a football and baseball star, he ended up passing for 1,700 yards and 17 total touchdowns as a senior, and was just a solid player. He ended up getting offered by a ton of big-time programs, but would choose to go to Georgia. Last year, Puglisi was battling an injury, so he would not get a chance to play much. In fact, he didn't play at all. They also had Carson Beck. Going into 2025, there was a quote-unquote quarterback battle going on in Athens, but we all knew Gunnar Stockton was going to win the job. Puglisi was expected to be the backup, and they also had 2 true freshmen in Hezekiah Millender and Ryan Montgomery. But with Montgomery being hurt, the job is solely on Ryan if Gunnar Stockton gets hurt. Luckily, Gunnar has been good, but Puglisi hasn't been. He's gone 9 of 15 for 112 yards with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, and in a short sample size against pretty bad competition, he just hasn't looked all that great. Maybe he just needs to work the kinks out, but honestly, I think Stockton's coming back for the 2026 season, and there's no reason to believe that Ryan is going to win that job in the long run. They also have Jared Curtis coming in, so I think Ryan should transfer back home to a school like UConn. That's just my personal take. I could be dead wrong. For our fifth guy, I want to talk about a little-known backup in college football in Brady Hart. So going back in time, Brady Hart was actually a 4-star recruit in the class of 2025 as he came out of Cocoa High School in Florida. He was listed as the number 17 quarterback, a 4-star recruit, and the 195th best player nationally. After originally deciding to commit to Michigan, he would make a late flip to Texas A&M last November, and this was a big get for him. In 2023, he passed for 3,800 yards and 41 touchdowns, and then the season after, as a senior, he threw for 3,600 yards and 36 touchdowns. Hart honestly looks the par and looks like a future college football star, but he also wasn't Texas A&M's first option. As I said, he was committed to Michigan, but Underwood ended up going to Michigan, and A&M ended up losing Husan Longstreet to USC, so that's why I believe Brady Hart ended up there. So far this year, he has become a backup for the Aggies, as they are currently undefeated, and Marcel Reed is a star. Honestly, Reed is great, but I don't see him as a big-time NFL draft prospect because of how small he is. He could change things, but I think Marcel will be back for the 2026 season, and that's why I think Brady Hart should get ahead of it and go ahead and transfer. Your sophomore year is absolutely crucial, and I think he could go to a lot of Power 4 schools. And finally, for our sixth guy, let's talk about Austin Novosad. I've covered him many times on the channel, but going back to his time at Dripping Springs High School, he started to blow up between his junior and senior season. In total, while he was there, he threw for 8,983 yards and 114 touchdowns, and originally would decide to commit to Baylor. But later on in the process, Novosad would get offers from schools like Oregon and Ohio State, and he would eventually flip to the Ducks. This came after they lost out on Dante Moore. He was listed as a 4-star recruit and the number 13 quarterback in the country, and Novosad so far has played very sparingly. He completed 9 passes in 2023, 2 passes in 2024, and 1 pass so far in 2025. Obviously, he's been stuck behind guys like Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel, and Dante Moore, but after 3 years now, he has just not gotten on the field. I think Dante Moore will go off to the 2026 draft, but that's not certain yet, and honestly, I think no matter what, Novosad needs to transfer. Honestly, going to a school like Baylor, who's losing Sawyer Robertson, wouldn't be a terrible idea, or plenty of other Power 4 schools or Group of 5 options. But either way, he was too good in high school for him to never play, so I think he needs to enter the portal. But what do you guys think? Who's a player that you think should enter the 2026 portal? Where do you think these guys will end up? And what's another topic I can cover on the channel? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out some of the videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.